My guest today is Steve Orandello, founder and chief operating officer of Hosio, which specializes in all phases of website design and development, as well as full search engine optimization services. Now, ever since Steve was a young man, he always had an entrepreneurial spirit. His parents encouraged him to have a good work ethic. So at the tender age of 7, you could see Steve in his neighborhood delivering newspapers, serving lemonade to passersby, mowing lawns, and shoveling snow. Fast forward to the early 90s, Steve began his career on Wall Street, where he achieved significant success before transitioning to the mortgage industry. Leveraging his Wall Street experience, he launched a mortgage bank, but faced challenges with lead generation. As the internet grew, Steve and his partner developed a lead generation tool and internet advertising strategy that exceeded their expectations. Recognizing the internet's potential for reaching new business, Steve successfully applied lead generation and internet advertising to his mortgage bank. However, as the mortgage industry declined, he and his partner founded Hosio in 2009. He keeps himself motivated for success every day he wakes up and puts his feet on the ground, and his mindset is always in a positive realm of thought. As a cancer survivor, he's learned that staying positive and strong throughout his treatment was so important. The power of positive thinking, in his opinion, can be applied to all areas of your life, from health and wellness to careers and families. As he puts it so well, I am thankful every single day for all that I have. Steve has been married to his wife, Diane, for 23 years and has 2 sons, Stephen Jr. and Vincent, and he currently lives in Seaford, New York. Steve Orendello, my friend, my newfound brother, welcome to the show.
What an introduction, man. That was very good.
It's been quite a ride, my friend, that you've had, and I want to get into it, your journey, before we get into your thoughts on just the industry of AI and SEO and marketing. I'm interested. I know a lot of our listeners who are fellow entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs who want to be. I want you to share your story about you're coming off the Wall Street, and then you went into the mortgage industry. And then in 2009, you and your partner founded Hosio. Walk us through that time frame in your life. Why did you do it? Would you do anything differently? Just anything you want to share about when you launched the company.
No, listen, I think that like in life, you fail more than you succeed, right? In anything you do in life, at least, and you learn from it. So like the stocks, it was great because you made a ton of money. It was back in the 90s. It was like the wild, wild west. The thing I hated about it, I'm not an analyst, so I had to take other people's advice. They told me and I would sell it to people. I just didn't like it. I really didn't like the whole vibe of it. When we started the mortgage industry, it was pretty cool because we were helping people. You get them a lower rate. It was the refinance boom, where mortgage rates, people had a 9% mortgage rate. You got them at a 5% mortgage rate. They put all their debt in there and you saved them thousands of dollars a month. You were helping. But I'll tell you the truth, Steve, the problem I really not had, but I hated about it, I felt like a gravedigger. There was no residual in it. You got somebody a mortgage. You hardly ever talked to them again. You made friends with them. They became friends. You found out about their families. You really built a nice, tight relationship. Then afterwards, it was all done. And I was like, God, there has to be more. But at that point, I had my wife. I had my oldest son, and I just had my youngest son. He was just born. Then the whole market crashed, right? So when everything crashed, it became just chaotic. I had 20 employees at the time. I was having a hard time making payroll. And then I got hit with cancer. It's something called carcinoid tumor. It was intestinal cancer. It went to my pancreas. So they had to do a Whipple procedure on me. It was a major procedure. And everything in life is mostly is mental attitude. And it's how you perceive things. And I was at a dark point. The mortgage business was going down. My health was going down. And we were just really trying. The little glimmer of light we had was my partner, he built a website for us. So instead of having all these telemarketers telemarket and convince somebody they needed a mortgage, and I'd call them back and I'd have to reconvince them they needed a mortgage, it was like a rigmarole. Once we built the website, and it wasn't search engine optimization at the time, that's when pay-per-click was dirt cheap. You were getting everything dirt cheap. And we were just going up there, and literally people would call. I would see if I could get them a mortgage. If I could get them a mortgage, it was like shooting fish in a barrel. It was like, all right, we could close them. If I couldn't do it, I'd be like, sorry, I can't help you. You hang up. But we were doing phenomenal at the end. Then the mortgage the bottom fell out. And we were like, what are we going to do? At that time, I was in my 40s. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, where are we going now at this point? This is my second major career. Mm-hmm. So we started Hosio with 2 or 3 guys. We started out small. We started figuring out where not just pay-per-click. What we do, search engine optimization, I like to say, it's really recession proof. If you could go back 5 years ago and buy gas for $1.98 a gallon, how many gallons would you just store up? to keep. Now where gas prices are. Like my clients that started with me 15 years ago are still paying the same price. It didn't go up every year. Paid ads are really unattainable because you can't really scale your business because the more you keep on investing, you build your crew, you keep on having to get, and I say it's like you're stuck to a bottle. So when we started doing this and we built our crew out and we figured out, like we were talking before the interview, Steve, we were like, well, you don't want to get into nitty gritties about like the search engine optimization. I believe laying everything out on the table, like what I do. So the way we get people listed, we only do service-based companies. And when somebody's looking for, like if you're looking for a plumber, you usually look in your local town. Like I live in Seaford, so I type in plumber Seaford. My company's in Holbrook. If I need an electrician, I would type in electrician Holbrook. So what we do is for our customers, we build it out on their website so they own it. We build out landing pages for each specific town, for each specific keywords. So literally, I make thousands of pages for my clients and they get rankings. It's really going back to the whole thing being like a grave digger. This isn't a grave digger. Like we don't lock our clients into contracts. Our clients only stay if we're successful. If we're not successful, they leave. So we have relationships that lasted for the last 15 years. And I always say, it's like, like money's always funny with people. Especially friends and family. Like you don't ever want to get money involved in like a friendship or family because people get weird with money. It's easier to make a client a friend than friend a client because once you make a client money, they become your friend because they know they're on your side. We built this small company. We got 60 guys right now, but they're really like family. They're not really even like employees. I spend more time with these guys. And I'm sure you did when I know right now you're doing your podcast thing, you're doing things, but when you were telling me you were at, you said Goldman Sachs or
Oracle.
So when you open with a big company, you spend more time with your employees, with your coworkers than you do with your own family. So we got a really good environment here, and I'm blessed. I really am. Every day I'm blessed and I'm very thankful.
I can hear that passion, right? One of my favorite sayings is you can't fake passion. And I can tell everybody listening and watching within the first 30 seconds when I met this guy, he's not faking this by any means. I don't think you even know how to fake it.
No, I do, but I'm definitely not faking this.
You're not supposed to.
Be honest. What are you going to do?
I love your honesty. But before we go into like some specifics of AI and SEO marketing, I want you to go back when you launched the company. Again, these are for the entrepreneurs who either just launched or thinking about it. What can you help them? What would you do differently? What are some pitfalls to avoid in terms of starting their own company? What advice would you give people?
So starting your own company, look, you could be an entrepreneur or you could be an intrapreneur, right? So sometimes it makes more sense if you could get a good company and you could work inside the company and you could build it up yourself. You could make as much money without taking the risks. So and that's what I do with a lot of my guys. I give them a percentage on the floor. I make sure they manage over stuff. So they don't own the company. They don't have the risk. Like my payroll is $50,000 a week. They don't have to worry about hitting that payroll. They don't have to worry about that stuff. But if you want to start your own, listen, we're Americans, right? America was built on companies like us. We're entrepreneurs built this whole country. And if you want to do it, you have to take risks. You're never going to have a parachute on every time. You don't know if you have a parachute on, but you got to have the faith to jump and you got to believe in yourself. I would say if you have a good quality product and you have a service that you know that it could be beneficial, you start small. You start even when I started Hosio, I had another job. I was doing pharmaceuticals. My sister got me a job at a pharmaceutical company. I was a pharmaceutical rep. So this was almost like a part-time gig to get myself to go because I had to fund both things. I had a family. But the best time to do it is when you're young, when you have really nothing to lose. You have the safety of staying with your parents and you're underneath their roof and you take risks. And once you take those risks, you got to take educated risks. You can't just, like I was saying, jump without a parachute. You don't want to jump off a 10-story building, but you want to take risks. You want to figure it out.
Yep. I love it. It's great lessons to pass on for sure. It's those, everybody talks about risk taking. Yes, I get it. And it's a little overplayed these days, but I think the operative word you used there was calculated.
Without a doubt. You just can't just roll the dice on it and take your whole life savings.
Right.
And build it up. You find something you're passionate about. If you're passionate about something, you could literally do anything in the world. Anybody can.
Could not agree more.
I listen every day. Like I talk to my guys. Like I listen to motivation every day. I still listen to it at 55. But I was listening to somebody said today, they're like, you have Oprah Winfrey, you have Carl Icahn, you have Warren Buffett, you have Elon Musk. They all have the same thing we do. They all have 24 hours in a day, 7 days a week. It depends what they do in that time.
Yep.
So if you're going to want to watch TV or get involved with the news or get yourself negged out or go on, these kids, especially these days, they're looking on their freaking phones and they're seeing what other people's lives are bullshit saying this is better and that's better. Better yourself. if you better yourself, you could do anything. And you really have to believe in yourself and you have to better yourself. You can't, like, if I went to work out, if I worked out one day, I get nothing from it. But if I worked out every single day for a year, you're going to notice a difference in my body. Consistency. It's not just doing it once and saying that's it, or doing it once and, I'm sore. I'm like, I'm not going to do it again. No, consistency. Keep on repeat.
Or doing it or doing it only when you want to. Yeah, it's a great analogy. One last thing on the company before we get more agnostic. You use the word family to talk about your staff, which one I love, but two, I think a perfect segue into this word, which I really want to get your thoughts on, and that's culture. What do you look for when it comes to culture? And I would go on a limb and assume when you're hiring someone, culture is a big part of this.
They got to be good people. Even if they're not knowledge-based, knowledge, like we were just talking about, you could learn the knowledge. So most of my employees came from internships. Mm-hmm. So all this, when I first started, I'll tell you, Steve, when we first started doing internships, and it was like, over 10 years ago, I felt like creepy because they work for free. You don't pay them and they work. So I used to just give them out cash regardless at the end of the internship. Like I was like, I can't do this,
Right.
But it's like anything, like you put a frog in water, and keep on boiling, you get used to it. So we get probably like 50 interns every year. So they come in here, and then out of the group of 50 interns, I get to see how they work. I get to see how they play with other people. I get to see if they're gossiping about bullshit or if they're really into their work and they care about other people.
Yep.
And that's really how I built my culture here, because out of the 50, I might only have 3 people, but I'll hire those 3 people. So we hire them and we keep on getting more and more interns. So it's not where I'm just, getting a resume and then being like, I hope majority of our guys come in that way. And then that's how we really build the culture.
Yeah.
And it comes from the top down. I don't ever, 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 ever yell at an employee. If I'm going to yell at a guy, I'll just get rid of him, because I realize that it's like myself. And I learned this from all my years of experience being at my age. Anybody yelled at me, I never took to them. I discussed it, and they were upset with me, and they said, look, I don't want this. And I felt bad about it. I was able to return myself, and I was able to make myself better on it. So none of my guys and all my managers, I have a strict rule. I'm like, you never yell at somebody. If you have a discussion with somebody, you're upset with them, you take them in the office, you talk to them personally. You don't do it. If I yelled at one of my guys on the floor, I'm just doing it to make myself feel better. I'm getting my anger out, but I'm not getting nothing out of it. So it all starts from us and my partner, John, and the way we treat people. This is how our culture really started.
And your success speaks for itself. And I'll say that for you, because you're going on 16 years now, right? As we come up on 2025, that you launched in 2009. And I want to take you back to that year and kind of since from then till now, let's start with SEO. Right? What's changed? I mean, 15, 16 years in the digital space, it's like 1,000 years, right? How much stuff changes. But right off the top of your head, like what's been the biggest changes in SEO?
Well, for my company wise, is like automation and then, ChatGPT. When you have artificial intelligence able to go into it, and you can't just use AI and just put it out there. There's things that we use in AI. So when we're doing, I was telling you about like town pages, right? When I'm writing unique content and we have different areas. So one area, say like Great Neck in New York, the income level is higher. Their religion's different. The whole way they speak and the whole way that they're educated is different from another area, say Brentwood, Long Island. It'd be a different, income level. It'd be a different, religious level. So when we're writing the persona and we're doing all the content, we put the content in and we put it in for each individual pages, this persona. So it sounds like an actual person from that actual area. And the AI is, I can't believe it. Like we were using AI 4 or 5 years ago and it was nothing. It was like, it was a wheel that was like a square wheel. It was like, boop, boop, boop. Now it's like, it's unbelievable how it's actually working. And the results that we have with the search engine, that's like, a piece of it. There's so much more that goes into it, but Google loves the content because it doesn't look like AI generated because it's unique. And then we have our content writers go in there to each individual page after it goes through and puts a human aspect into it. So it's like legit content. Besides that, automation, like, from all these town pages that we build out, we built a tool that my marketing director, this guy, Matt, he is a whiz. He's one of the most smartest guys that I ever met in my life. And we were able to build out a tool that could actually build out all these individual town pages on a WordPress website. So it's able to put all that in. We put localized links. So when Google looks at that website and they look at that page, it feels like a local page, and it helps get rankings. Like I got 500 customers throughout the United States, and And I'm blessed. We're doing phenomenal. And our clients are too. Our clients love us, which is, better than anything.
Hey, sorry for the interruption. We're going to get back to our show in one quick second, but stay with me. If you're in the need for anything SEO and or link building related, you need to do yourself one quick favor. You need to go to the website that's on the screen right now, stanventures.com. Go there, tell them Steve O sent you. The rest will take care of itself. Trust me, you can thank me later. Well, again, you've been around since 2009. Nobody in any industry stays in business that long without being a good person and delivering a a product. Not to state the obvious, but that's what it is.
This year, we just made the fastest growing 5,000 companies. We just made the Inc. 5,000 was this year. And it's, it's crazy to even think that we went from, a 3 or 4 man office to a 60 man office. If I showed you we just took over 10,000 square feet.
Yep.
I put a gym in the back for my guys. I have a playroom for the back where they can just relax. They have a couch. They have all pinball machines and stuff. So I'm making a culture where people want to work. So I have half the staff works Monday through Thursday. The other half of the staff works Tuesday to Friday. They work 10-hour days. So majority of them are young. They're in the 20s, early 30s. I said to myself, shit, at that age, what was more important was like having that free time. So they all have 3-day weekends. So they work 3 days a week and they're off 3 days a week.
That's amazing. And it's actually a really good segue into what I want to pick your brain on next, which is leadership. And we both know, we've been around long enough, that leaders come in a billion different shapes, sizes, and colors, right? And personalities. And you touched on something earlier, Steve, that I think is really germane that you've had. And I've had the same experience when I was younger, where I've had leaders yell at me literally in front of other people. And I took that, I didn't take it then, but I take it now. And when I coach people, I say, look, you can learn just as much from a bad leader as you can from a good leader.
I agree.
Right. And talk a little bit about, let me start with, how do you define your leadership style? I think I can fill in the blanks, but I want my listeners and viewers to hear from you.
I'm the first one in the office, so I'm not a person to tell you what to do. I do what I say I want you to do. So it's like your father's like, don't worry about what I do. Just do what I tell you to do. I don't believe in that aspect of it. I believe in that if I'm here at 7:00 every morning. Like if I'm the first one opening the door, if people come in and ask for raises and they want certain things, you get what you deserve. You don't get just because of this day and age, everyone has their freaking hands out. That's not the way it works here. I think people respect me from what I do. It's just one of those things. That's where my role comes. I give motivational meetings. We call them the State of the Union once a month. We find out exactly where we are. We'll say the content or the web dev team or, the SEO team or the Google My Business team, the social media team. And this way, even though we're all out in a whole boardroom, a lot of guys don't actually speak or hear what other teams are speaking of. Say, what's your problems? So now I have 60 guys who could come in for one guy's problem and we could come out with a solution instead of just saying, this is the way you should do it. I believe in getting everyone's approach. And then it comes down to me to figure out if it makes sense or it doesn't make sense.
Right. Off the top of your head, what are some 2, 3, 4, whatever number attributes you think the best leaders have?
I think integrity. I think that would be a huge part. Honesty. Is that the same thing? Integrity and honesty? I think it's very, very close. If you say something, do it. If I give you my word, you don't have to worry about anything. If I tell you I'm going to pick you up at 7:00, I'm there 6:45. So I think leaders, and this is just me, my personal opinion. It doesn't mean that it's not a great leader that doesn't come late or do whatever. Like, listen, and probably some people don't care for him, but I love Donald Trump. I went to a couple of his rallies, and during his rallies, he comes late. And does that make him a terrible leader? No. It depends on what people are in certain things. And I think it takes, instead of 1 or 2 different things, I think it takes a whole bunch of stuff to make a good leader. And there's more than one way to skin that cat kind of thing, right? Like you said, that's how you look at it. Other successful leaders may look at it different, and they probably do. Without a doubt. But that works for them. I don't think, listen, I'm happy where I'm at. Even though we're in 15 years in business, I don't feel like we just moved into this spot. I feel like I'm just at the start again. When I pull up, I used to say, I do my gratitudes every night. I do a thing called NLP. It's neuro-logistic programming. It works with your subconscious mind, and it just programs your subconscious mind. And since 2020, I have this lady that's been doing it, and I listen to tapes, and she's saying, look, you're going to be coming up into your office. You're going to be going into an elevator. You're going to be opening up into your lobby. And this is, Steve, when this happened, this was right after the pandemic. I had people work. If anybody else listened to it, you'd think it's just bullshit. You'd be like, there's no way. I come up now, I have my own elevator. I opened the door to my own lobby. I walked into my own office. Like everything that she said. And it's like, I just want to help people. I want to be the difference in this world. I feel this world's so bad right now. And I don't know if the devil's running it. I'm not sure what the heck's going on. But I think good people got to rally up and start doing the right thing. And just start making it where people don't believe that anymore.
It's a cliche of cliches what I'm about to say, but I know you're going to believe in this. It's because I live my life this way of leave the world better off than you found it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. What are you going to do? You ain't taking your money with you. No matter how much you make, you want to be a difference. And for your family, like for your kids. I want my kids to be proud of me. I want
your legacy.
Yeah.
Your legacy. Yeah, totally. I got to get your thoughts on just marketing in general. I talk to marketers all the time. I wrote for Forbes for 10 years. I know a lot of CMOs, but I'd love to get your thoughts on just the overall state of marketing in general. And I want you to look at this through a couple of different lenses and play along with me here. One is in your role as an agency owner, right? A company owner, but then also as a consumer. And while that may sound obvious, I am never ceased to be amazed when I work with marketers and talk to marketers. Steve, there's times I literally have to remind them that they are consumers as well.
Oh, I know it.
It blows my mind, right? So hearing what I just said, what comes to mind? Marketing.
So it's necessary. I tell people when I speak to people all day long. I still do sales, and a lot of people, like we spend about $1,000 to $1,500 a day on advertising. People get us on the phone, and I'm speaking to them, and my first question is, you want to see if you can help them out. You don't want to sell somebody something where they have two guys working, and you tell them, no, you need to invest $10,000 a week. That's bullshit, so you want to really figure out what they need. But I get a lot of guys that I do word of mouth, and I say to them, I'm like, dude, you're blessed. You obviously do good business, because if you get in all this business, you've been in business 10 years from word of mouth. But just imagine when somebody needs something, anybody needs anything. I know myself, I Google it. So if I could get these people in front of Google, I blow their companies up, because the thing is, they have the same values. They want to do good, clean business. They want to help people. They're already doing that. All I'm doing is they're going to still have that business coming through. What they're going to get extra is all those people that don't know. The only reason you go to Google is you need a service. You don't know anyone else to call, right? That's the reason they go. They type in painter here. If I get that guy to show up, his business just blows up, and then it just goes through it. So it's a necessary evil. Even when people, it's like one of those things, Steve, like if you never spent money on anything. So if you never spent any money on advertising, if I tell you to spend $500 a week, it's a fortune. If I tell you to spend $100 a week, it's a fortune, because you never spent it. But when people realize, especially with the search engine optimization or even Google ads, you're not spending, you're investing. This is something that works. So if you put this money in, there's like a 10-fold return on your investment. Almost everybody. Some people get more than 10-fold because of the price of the tickets.
Yep.
Someone does water damage restoration compared to air duct cleaning. Air duct cleaning needs to get 10,000 times more phone calls, but the water damage, he gets 1 or 2 months to, he just blows it out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
So when I first started, so I'll go back to now as you saying, like, you're just, I'm a consumer. When I first started, I didn't want to buy leads. I was literally taking the penny saver that gets thrown to my house, and I would come in back in the day, and I would call the people. Listen, you go on the penny saver. This is the stupidest thing. You're investing money on the penny saver. You should be on Google, blah, blah, blah. Because I didn't want to buy leads. Once I broke the habit, and that's the reason I'm so easy to talk to my customers, because I went through it, and I totally feel what they're feeling. Like, sales guys sell, and they have no idea of owning a business. But when you own a business, it's scary. So I take care of my guys. Like I want to make sure I'd rather lose money on a customer and keep them for, 10 years than try and make a little extra and then lose them because we don't have contracts on it.
Yep.
So I try and do baby steps. My average customer right now is spending between like $1,000 to $2,000 a week, but I have packages starting at $250 a week. So as long as they could, it's like a handshake. Like, all right, look, and then they get in touch with my employees. Like I said, this is my family, and they start treating my clients like family. It just brings it all together.
Not to state the obvious, but it's so, and this is not insulting to you at all, but it's the simplicity of it. Like, I just don't get why it's the golden rule, dude. Like, you treat people the way you want to be treated. It's like,
I live by it, brother. I live by the golden rule.
I just don't get why I don't know. That's a whole separate topic we can have discussion on, because it just blows my mind. I don't get it.
You'll never, regardless of whatever you do, if someone's successful and not living by the golden rule, they'd be 10 times more successful if they live by the golden rule. Because you could take advantage of somebody and you could do whatever and you could get over once or twice. But if you live by the golden rule, you probably have a silver, a great tongue that you're able to speak very well, but you're always rebuilding. You do it this way, monstrous. Elon Musk, Look what he gave back to this world. Look how the way he lives and how he builds his company. Like that's somebody you want to strive to be like, wow, this, imagine that guy could throw a rocket up into space. Before we used to throw it in the water. They go in the water, they ruin him. This guy has a 12-story building or 20-story building landing by itself.
My friend, listen, we're up against it. I cannot thank you enough. I knew this conversation was going to fly by, and that's the hallmark of a good conversation. I can't thank you enough, really, for your time. Thank you.
No, thank you, brother. It was very nice meeting you, nice speaking to you, man, and hopefully we stay in touch throughout the years.
Hey, I'm the guy from the video you just saw. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Now do yourself a favor. If you haven't already, subscribe to our content. Believe it or not, unconfirmed rumors and reports, you will see an increase in 20% in organic traffic just by subscribing. Okay, maybe not, but it's fun, right? But do yourself a favor, really. Subscribe to our content. You won't be sorry. Thanks.